Hi, we are Team Sanskriti.
The issue we're focusing on is the influence of westernization on Indian culture, which is leading to a loss of several of its elements.
Our aim is to inspire Indians to respect and embrace their culture by spreading awareness about its loss due to westernization,
As well as discussing various traditions and aspects like Indian food and languages, which make it the diverse and unique culture it is.
Here is a small insight into our brainstorming process and preliminary research.
Our team project journey started with team discussions trying to identify the exact problem and come up with a suitable aim with the guidance of our GP teacher, Miss Manisha.
Our secondary research yielded so many astounding facts, including that at least 600 Indian languages are at risk of dying in the coming 50 years.
Our pre-survey had over 500 responses, and looking at the results, we realized that this issue impacted so many people.
We knew we had to do something about this issue.
we decided to get started straight away with interviews with professionals in various fields.
એ દેશનો ઋણ હોય જે દેશમાં જન્મ્યા હોય એનો આદર કરવો જ જોઈએ.
आपकी जनरेशन का जो इस वक्त 14 से 18-20 साल की उम्र में पहुंच रही है, उसकी बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी हो जाती है कि वो उसे प्रोत्साहन दे, वो अपनी संस्कृति की ओर अपनी भाषा से लौट सकते हैं.
You go and walk into a grocery store in India now, you will find ready-to-eat dal makhani, and that was never a thing when my grandmother grew up. Like 80 years ago, like no one ever thought of making dal makhani from a packet. It was always something you made from scratch, enjoyed the experience of actually making it. I do believe that has played a big role in how we Indians view food now.
We are moving towards kale and quinoa and all of that. But we have spinach, we have choli bhaji amaranth, red, green, both variety. We have colocasia leaves, we have cabbages, we have everything.
It's, if I have to talk in that language, it's very cool to learn other languages than Indian languages. Indian culture has given us so much, it has taught us so much. The first and primary thing that attracts me, that comes to my mind is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Our culture has taught us to have faith in one particular thing, that the entire world is one family.
મારા હિસાબે પહેલા તો માતૃભાષાનો પ્રયોગ હોવો જરૂરી છે દરેક ઘરમાં.
जब हम अपने को भारतीय कहते हैं तो हमें अपनी संस्कृति पे गर्व होना चाहिए, और हम जब उस पर गर्व करते हैं तो हम किसी और संस्कृति के सामने पक्के तौर से खड़े हो सकते हैं और हमारी जानकारी लोगों के सामने आ सकती है.
I appreciate Indian culture, but there's just some parts of it that's like a bit too extreme. Like it just doesn't make sense.
We realize it or not, culture is like my breath. It runs into my blood. Our whole lifestyle, food we eat, the customs and traditions that I follow is all my culture.
I think, I believe that we've begun to lose our cultural identity. So peer pressure plays a large part in that.
એટલે કે 60 થી 70 વર્ષની ઉપરના લોકો માટે ભારતીય સંસ્કૃતિ ઘણી જ મહત્વની છે.
I'm a mix of both cultures because, since Netflix and other things have come into India.
My culture, which is Indian culture, I greatly value my religion and greatly value my country. These are three things that I really value.
The Indian culture, in my opinion, needs to develop with time and adapt to the current changes, because according to me, it's still a very backward culture.
I don't have any strong feelings towards Indian culture.
The ritualistic part was, came down generations or was passed on down generations, and not the thought process behind it, which is why it's lost its meaning.
I'm more inclined to wearing normal Western clothes. That's not like what my grandparents or my mother would wear at home.
Now youngsters don't know our mother tongue at all, and we glorify foreign countries, what they have achieved, but never our own.
Our conversations, discussions and interviews with both age groups, as well as interactions during the PG sessions, demonstrated that westernization has had a significantly larger impact on the younger Indian generation.
This is because they were the most exposed to other cultures through media, food, and language, and had considerably lesser knowledge about Indian culture as compared to their elders.
Also, they didn't understand or know enough about Indian traditions, especially the reasons behind them, which led them to look down on Indian culture and move towards other cultures.
The older generation, on the other hand, was not affected by westernization to the same degree, especially since they were not very exposed to Western cultures and were aware about the nuances, traditions, and diversity of Indian culture.
And I am running a small NGO by the name Sri Arihant Krupa Foundation, and we do a lot of charity work, and that includes going to old age homes. They have come. They have witnessed poverty, they have witnessed abusing. So now they are in better atmosphere at old age home. And they celebrate all the festivals, maybe Hindu, Christian, whatever festival it is, they make it a point to celebrate it.
Question is, are they very exposed to Western cultures from TV shows or the English language or food?
No, nothing.
To gain an insight into the perspectives of the older generation of the lower socio-economic class, we decided to interview 20 members residing in the JJ Dharamshala in Baikala.
Since we were unable to conduct a session with them in person and they did not have the technology required for a Zoom call, we came up with a perfect alternative, a survey.
It showed us that all the residents were very well versed with Indian culture, believing it was extremely important, and had very little exposure to Western cultures.
Moreover, around 95% of them believe that the younger generation, especially of a higher socioeconomic status, was moving away from Indian culture.
It's related to the social status of people as well. No? So that if people have that impression, no? That if I don't speak English, it means that I'm from a lower social strata, no? That I'm from a more humble background. And that's why I think sometimes people are a little reluctant to speak their language.
It was there before. Yes, we were feeling that our youths are just going away from our culture. They are not interested. But somehow things have really turned around. And the youth of today is so much engrossed in Indian culture. They want to study more about it.
15th August was never celebrated there. They never used to have flag hoisting, nor they used to have any national anthem.
Socioeconomic background was an extremely interesting cultural perspective.
To holistically explore this cultural perspective, we considered the viewpoints of both the younger and the older generation of higher and lower socioeconomic backgrounds.
We discovered that there was not a large variation in the way the older generation of both socioeconomic strata perceived Indian culture. They were equally aware and proud of Indian culture.
However, teenagers at the lower socioeconomic class were slightly less influenced by westernization due to a significantly lower exposure to Western cultures.
They were also more aware of several traditions and customs integral to Indian culture. Thus, westernization did not affect their cultural identity as much.
Question, why is language so important to culture? So I think adding to what all of y'all discussed, it's of course the way in which people communicate.
So what exactly is happening to these 19,500 languages and dialects?
Definitely a very thought-provoking, informative and hunger-provoking presentation.
Social media was a great medium to interact with various people all across India, thus broadening our scale of impact.
We constantly updated our feed with information and facts about Indian culture and the impacts of westernization.
It was gratifying to see the impact we're creating through insights and discussions in our comments and stories.
It was the perfect method of communicating with the younger Indian generation, especially teenagers.
Team Sanskriti really has a great website, and I really liked it because it taught me a lot about how to incorporate our culture into my everyday activities, and I learned a lot about it as well.
Project Sanskriti had an extremely helpful website and helped me learn things that I'd never even thought of before.
This website was extremely insightful, especially the manner in which it appreciated and celebrated Indian culture, while at the same time discussing the negative impacts of westernization.
It was essential to document our journey in order to track our progress. We did this through 4 main documents: the daily work log, the feedback log, a schedule in the form of a calendar, and problems, nuances, and fixes.
Overall, the project has been very insightful and an enriching experience. When we first started, we were a part of the teenagers who were majorly impacted by westernization. But by researching and passionately exploring the various cultural perspectives, and also interacting with a range of people from different backgrounds, we ourselves learned so much more about Indian culture.
We were overwhelmed by the number of responses we received in our initial survey and were pleased to see that through our sessions and presentations, we had successfully impacted over 200 students. Furthermore, our website and informative posters aim to continue to raise awareness even after the completion of our project.
The project really helped us work efficiently as a team, with each of us handling a different aspect. We realized the importance of communicating and collaborating with each other in order to produce a thought-provoking project.
The pandemic, of course, impacted us to a large extent, as all our communication had to be digital. However, navigating through and overcoming these obstacles together as a team was an enjoyable experience. Not only did this project teach us a lot about Indian culture, but we also learned about adaptability and problem solving.